What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Path of the Network Marketer, day 13, episode 13. All right, so in today's episode, I want to build on what we talked about yesterday with algorithm changes and how that affects, the metrics of your social media platforms. Yeah, impossible to predict. So do your best to pay as little attention to those metrics as you can. I mean, those stuff, it's important. I'm not going to say that it's not important. Views and likes and engagement, comments, things like that. It's obviously very important. Otherwise, why else do social media in the first place? However, I think it's secondary, a distant second, as a matter of fact, to content. And that's what I want to talk about today, because if the prevailing mindset is views and working to become more viral, which I think it's a trap that we can fall into, right? If that's the prevailing mindset, then content, we run the risk of the content suffering. Yeah, you can't. There's no getting around that. And here's the thing. Okay, so here's where it comes from. We're used to that one home run, right? Like there's that mindset historically, and it happens in so many professions, in so many industries, in so many different examples. Obviously the lottery is an example. Everybody's going for that one big win. Professional sports, if you look at professional sports, millions and millions of kids around the world every year are pushing themselves harder and harder to work towards becoming that 1% that can play, that end up playing sports professionally, right? Like everybody sees the Michael Jordans and the Tiger Woods and the Serena and the Venus Williams, but like they don't know that for every thousand kids that go for it, only a small percent, like one, make it to that level, if that many, right? What's another example? So another example is stocks, right? The stock market. Like everybody, I think. Well, not everybody. Okay, so let me backtrack. That's too much of a generalization in my language. There's a mindset that you can get pulled into with stocks in going like trying to catch that big whale, right? Like, oh, if I had just known that Amazon 20 years ago was going to go crazy, I would have bought some stock. Or if only I had bought Tesla, when nobody knew about Tesla, right? Like things like that. Well, it's impossible to predict, right? It's impossible to predict. There's thousands and thousands of stocks out there. You never really, unless you're like really kind of deep into it, and even then, like it's impossible to predict. But unless you're like really really deep into it, you're never going to be able to catch that whale. So same thing with social media, right? I think there is a prevailing mindset that we have to catch that whale. We got to go viral. We got to make that one video that's going to change our lives, right? And well, because we see that happening, right? We see that happening with influencers, where one video changes their life. And really, there's so much more there's so much more going on than trying to catch that whale. If you look at any of these influencers, big or small, and even network marketers or non-network marketers, you'll see that they weren't necessarily chasing that whale. They weren't chasing the views, right? They weren't chasing trying to be viral. I think again, that's all well and good and important. It's not wrong, but the main thing is that their content never suffered as a result of chasing that whale, right? I think there can be a trap that we can fall into of paying so much attention to views and paying so much attention to trying to get more views and trying to go viral, that our content suffers, that we lose sight of the main purpose and the message that we're trying to share and convey with our social media efforts. Like that's the whole reason we're on social media in the first place, and if we lose sight of it, then it just kind of defeats its purpose. As I've examined people online, influencers and people with good amounts of following, good numbers and big audiences, again, network marketers or not network marketers, what I've found is that it isn't so much that they've gone viral as a result of trying to go viral, but I think it's more that they've built their audience, they've grown their audience as a result of being consistent and true to their purpose and their message, the message that they wanted to share. And that goes even for influencers who are just posting content as entertainment. It's just the consistency of it, and people find them, right? If you're chasing views, again, what can happen is your content can be so sporadic to try to chase that next viral trend, that you lose character, and therefore the followers that you get anyways, your audience becomes way more transient than it would be if you had just stuck to being more consistent and true to your message. And ultimately, that's the kind of audience that you want to build in the first place. So be consistent and true to your purpose and your message that you want to share. Regarding your company, regarding yourself. Sharing your story, and that will ultimately win in the end, in the long term. Sure, short term, your numbers will go up and down, and that's natural. But in the long term, as long as you're consistent to all of that stuff that we're talking about, your message, your purpose, then that's going to win in the long run. So that's it for today. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, well, if you haven't already followed the show, go ahead and follow the show. Whatever platform you happen to be listening on, go ahead and hit me with a follow or a subscribe. And if ratings and reviews are available, go ahead and hit me with a rating and a review. That will obviously help us out a lot here on the show. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up. Many more to come. There's a new episode every day, so you got something to look forward to. Yeah, that's it. So we'll catch you on the next one. Until then, be well, be safe. We'll see you in the next episode.